name's Amy and I'm a rehabilitation therapist at Vita Heath Group, and today I will be showing you a few examples of what you could expect from one of our shoulder exercise classes. So again, as with all of our exercise classes, they're based around general rehabilitation of any shoulder issues, so whether that's osteoarthritis, any sort of rotator cuff problems, frozen shoulders, things like that. And we're just looking at using rehab exercises to improve mobility, improve range of motion, and also improve strength. As with all of our classes, you work within your own capacity and you work at a rate and within a range that is comfortable for you. So I'm going to be taking you through about 8 exercises along with a warm-up and a cool-down, just to ensure we get an idea and you can sort of take from this video and know what to expect from a shoulder class if you are booked into one. So generally what we would do in a shoulder class is start with a little bit of marching on the spot, just getting ourselves moving, getting ourselves warm. Even though it's a little bit more upper body focused, we still generally want to raise that heart rate and get ourselves up a bit before we start getting the shoulders moving. So moving into those sort of general shoulder rolls forward and back, starting to move that joint around a range of motion. Good. Incorporate some gentle stretching with that. So a nice one is to pop the arm across the body and hold it there with the other arm, stretching this deltoid muscle here, holding that for a few seconds, moving on and stretching the other side as well. Fantastic. So there isn't sort of too much equipment to be used. Anything that is necessary will be provided within the class, and there will always be things that you can substitute to use at home for the same sort of things. So for example, any really light weights, which we wouldn't really go beyond in a rehab class anyway, can be substituted with things like tins at home or anything like that, just to add a little bit more resistance if we are doing any sort of strength resistance work in the class. So first few exercises will simply be using the wall, so it's nice and easy. And again, I will talk through sort of easy versions, harder versions of everything that will be shown in the class. So the first shoulder exercise we'll be doing is what we call a proprioception alphabet. So essentially looking at the mobility of the shoulder and keeping the shoulder moving, but in quite a controlled range of motion. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand opposite the wall. What you'd normally do here is have a ball that you'd hold between your hand and the wall, but generally just using a soft surface is going to provide the same motion at the shoulder anyway. So as the name would suggest, all we're going to be doing either with a finger or a flat palm or just your fingertips is drawing the alphabet on the wall. So you can see my elbow's nice and locked out and my arm is lovely and straight, and all the motion is coming from my shoulder. So you can speed this up or you can slow it down. Generally, we'd aim to do it in a nice, slow and controlled manner. Like this, we don't want to rush through it, and the higher your arm is up the wall, the harder you have to work and more likely that you will fatigue. So if you are feeling like you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, you can start with your arm higher up the wall. Generally, we sort of recommend about a 90-degree angle. You can change between capitals and lowercase. You'll find that the lowercase is a little bit more fluid and a little bit more cursive, whereas the uppercase tends to be a little bit more jerky. So both have their benefits in terms of what we're doing for the shoulder, and we just work through 1 or 2 rounds of the alphabet depending on the time. Good. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at, again, still utilising the wall, is going to be our assisted flexion. So what we're going to do for this one is we're going to bring our arms up to the wall with our elbows nice and close, starting quite low. And then what we're going to do is essentially use the wall to assist that motion by crawling the arms, the fingertips up the wall. Again, you'll find if you've got a pathology or an injury, you might not be able to get so high, but that's absolutely fine. You work within a range that's comfortable for you, sliding back down. Crawling those fingers up the wall. Sliding back down. This is a really great one to implement at home, again, with no equipment needed. Everyone's got access to a wall in their house. So we're coming all the way up. Sliding back down. We'll do one more. Generally in the classes we would complete these exercises for about a minute at a time. Up the wall. Sliding down. Brilliant. Okay, the next one we're staying in the same sort of theme, using the wall, but instead of that front motion we're going to look at a side motion. So Standing approximately about half a metre away from the wall. Starting down, we're going to use that same crawling motion up the wall, but in our motion abduction, which is the arm moving up to the side of the body, as you can see. Again, don't worry so much if you can't get all the way to the top. We encourage you to sort of work within that comfortable range of motion, just gently improving that mobility and that strength of the shoulder. So again, you can see I'm not crawling quickly up the wall. I'm literally just letting my fingertips take me there, using that sort of shoulder musculature to bring me up the wall. Fantastic. Good. Again, we will be completing this for about a minute. On to the next one, exercise number 4. We're going to be looking at our front flexion of the shoulder. Sometimes in the gym it's called a front raise. There's lots of ways you can substitute it. You can do it with absolutely no weight at all. Nice straight arms, bringing the arms up and then down again, or again to where it's comfortable. Or you can add some gentle weights in each hand, whether they're light dumbbells or, like I said at the top, sort of tins of soup or tins of beans, anything that you've got around the house that's just going to add that little bit of resistance. So I've got 2 dumbbells here, very, very light, they're 2 kilograms each. Generally, you could also do this with resistance bands as well, one at a time by popping it under your feet and bringing up. So naturally, all we're doing here, standing lovely and tall, nice posture, shoulders are retracted backwards, arms are right in front of me, I'm coming up to the front, coming back down again. Coming up, you'll notice how I'm not really going beyond a 90-degree angle, just sort of controlling that motion, because stopping that range of motion and allowing ourselves to feel the resistance is where the muscle strength is going to be utilised, which is going to support that shoulder joint and help to strengthen it, which is going to help to support any injuries you may have at the shoulder. Good. Then again, we're going to do this for about a minute. Before we have a little bit of a rest and move on to exercise number 5. Again, so in the class, completing that for about a minute. On to our next exercise, we're utilising the wall again. You can see that the wall is actually a really easy and instrumental way to help the shoulder in rehab. We can use it for so many different things. It's very, very versatile in lots of different sort of planes and motions of the shoulder. So we're going to essentially be doing a wall push-up, and there's so many different ways you can make this easier or harder. Essentially, the closer you are to the wall, the easier. Further away from you are from the wall, the harder it is. So you can position yourself absolutely to where it's comfortable. You don't have to be on any sort of incline if you are not comfortable doing so. So I'm positioned probably about 30 centimeters from the wall. My hands are nice and flat and my elbows are tucked in, and I'm just bringing myself to the wall, pushing back out again. Bringing myself to the wall, pushing back out again. You may feel that actually becomes a little bit easy, so you want to step further away from the wall, pressing and coming back. You'll see how my elbows stay nice and flat the whole time. My spine is lovely and neutral, my head stays nice and tall. My feet are together, and I'm utilising my core muscles to keep my body in this nice sort of tall posture. Good. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to move on to is what we call our isometric strength. So it's a way of strengthening the muscles without moving it through a range of motion. So the movement we're going to utilise are our rotational motions at the shoulder, which are particularly useful and necessary to rehab in things like rotator cuff injuries, whether it's a tear, whether it's a tendon sort of irritation, anything like that. That rotational motion is going to be pretty instrumental in getting that tendon stronger and less irritated and the whole injury to recover. So elbows tucked in to my side, I'm going to bring myself over to the wall. I'm just going to push. Seems quite simple, but it's relying on quite a lot of strength of this sort of anterior and sort of side shoulder aspect. Pushing against, you'll notice how my elbow's tucked in the entire time. If I stop letting my elbow tuck in and I just press my hand, it brings the strength away from my shoulder and more to the elbow joint, which is why that is tucked in there. And we would do 30 seconds on this side and 30 seconds on the other arm. The next one we would do, first we have to push outwards, which is our external rotation. We also want to push inwards obviously internally rotating. So I can either do this way, pushing against the wall. Essentially, we would prefer a wall to be sort of a little gap in front of it, so you can tuck that elbow in and push. Equally, you can face the wall and push in that way. So just pushing that way. I'm going to complete this for about 30 seconds. Again, working those deltoid muscles and that muscle in the shoulder generally. It's going to help strengthen it. Fantastic. The last exercise we're going to do, and the last example we're going to give, is similar to our front raises, but instead of coming up to the front, we're coming out to the side like this. So I'm going to pick up my weights again, like I say, whether that's some tins or resistance bands. What we're going to do, and you can do one side and then the other, or both arms at the same time. You're going to start with your arm nice and straight, posture nice and tall. Just lift it up to about 90 degrees, coming back down. Up to about 90 degrees, and back down. You notice how my body itself doesn't move. I'm not allowing myself to compensate as I lift that up. I'm keeping that core lovely and strong and rigid to ensure my posture. Brilliant. And like I said, this can be substituted with a band or simply body weight. If I pop that band under my toe and just hold it, I'm going to pull it up and get that similar resistance. So 30 seconds on this arm, 30 seconds on this arm. Fantastic. Good. So that is an example of a similar selection of exercises that you may see in the shoulder class. Generally, they will move around and they will vary a little bit, but they all have the same principle, which is strengthening and helping to increase the mobility and the flexibility of the shoulder joint. Again, as with every class, if you've got any issues, then absolutely feel free to speak to your class lead, as they will always be happy to sort of note any concerns you have or alter any exercises if they are too difficult or too easy. To finish off the class, we would be completing those exercises twice through with a gap in the middle, and then completing a cool down, which would be the similar stretches to what you saw previously, whether that's these ones or arm behind. So utilising the stretch of that upper trap. I hope this helps to show you what you can expect from a shoulder class, and as ever, as mentioned, please feel free to speak to any of the class leads if you have any concerns.